Welcome to Hotter Than Ever, where we uncover the unconscious rules we've been following, we break those rules, and we find a new path to being freer, happier, sexier, and more satisfied in the second half of our lives. I'm your host, Erin Keating. Welcome, new listeners. I am thrilled that you have found this show, and I encourage you to dip into the back catalog of episodes I have been recording since April of 2023. There are now approximately 125 other episodes for you to check out, and every one of them contains some really powerful kernels of wisdom from women experts and women who have called in or written in with questions. If you're curious about my personal story and how I came to be the hot single mom entrepreneur that I am today, it's all in there. It's all in there. The good, the bad, the horny. Take a listen. That back catalog will keep you busy for a long time. And of course, to my loyal listeners who have been here from the early days, you all know all of that already. Today, I'm going to jump right into the interview with my guest, certified coach and author, Gabriela Embon. The way Gabriela talks about love and partnerships is helping me create a vision for what I want in my next relationship. She believes that a fulfilling adult life hinges on two essential components: an ideal career and a thriving primary partnership. I think that's a really interesting thesis. Now, I don't believe that you have to have a primary partner in order to be happy, but I do think that if that is important to you, Gabriela's 2 decades of experience helping couples build fulfilling and enduring relationships may really resonate with you. What's cool is that she uses the analytical and problem-solving skills that she honed during her engineering career, and she applies them to the intricacies of human relationships. And she empowers couples to transform their relationships, all of which she talks about in her book, Becoming a Power Couple: 4 Pillars to Engineer Legendary Marriages. Okay, so here are a handful of takeaways from this interview. First of all, Gabriela was like the original runaway bride. In an act of incredible bravery and authenticity, she backed away from committing to the man she was originally engaged to, which gave her the space to find the person who became her lifelong partner. She defines this idea of a power couple, which I think of as like, George and Amal Clooney, but she describes it quite differently. And she says that's where there is synergy and unconditional commitment between partners, and where both continuously give to each other out of genuine desire rather than fear or transactional needs. Doesn't that sound delicious? We talk about the 4 pillars of a successful relationship, and also why overgiving and caretaking often stem from coping mechanisms. Are you nodding along already? That one hit home for me for sure. She talks about the process of becoming a power couple as she defines it, and how the greatest growth occurs during challenges that inspire self-reflection and shared effort. One other thing that blew my mind was her idea of a marriage constitution rooted in deal breakers, best practices, and shared vision. Honestly, if I find a man who is game to even have that conversation, let alone write a marriage constitution, I would be in a whole different relationship ballpark. Share this episode with friends who are looking to think more deeply about what is possible either in their current relationships or in future ones. All right, let's get hot. Gabriela Embon, welcome to Hotter Than Ever.
Thank you, Erin, for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you.
I'm so happy to have you here. We talk a lot on this podcast about key inflection points in our lives and tapping into our intuition to make decisions. And I think that's been part of your story. And I think that'd be a great place to start. It's been part of your personal story and your professional story over the last 20 years. So I'd love to start, since you write about love and marriage and building power couple relationships, about your personal story about love and marriage, because everybody loves a love story.
So my story is pretty much like, those movies where the bride leaves the altar at the last minute, she just runs away.
Yeah. Runaway
Well,
bride. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly like that. So you would think that would me, but I actually had the decency of not getting to that point and canceling the wedding a month before.
A month.
So I was
After
almost there.
after how long being with this person you were engaged to?
5 years.
Oh God.
After 5 years, I know you would think it would take you sooner to figure out that this is not the right person, but yeah, you know. But I'm glad that I realized that a month before. It could have been worse.
How did you realize it?
Well, look, the relationship wasn't smooth. And I kept convincing myself this was the right move, the right thing to do. I
Mm.
actually remember my thoughts being nobody knows you like he does. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's 100%. 80% is good enough.
Yep.
Worst case, you'll get divorced. And, I wasn't stronger than those thoughts. They won me over. But then, that's what about the soul. Then I had a dream. And in my dream, I was entering the altar. It was a very vivid dream. And the person that I was waiting for me there to marry me wasn't my fiance at the time. It- I know that's people's reaction.
Ah.
It was my it was my current husband. And when I saw his face, which I recognized because he was a friend of mine. I knew him for about 6 months. Um, I just knew that this is a message. I can overlook this kind of the way I've been doing with my thoughts, putting them aside. So the next day, I had an argument with my fiance over the phone, and out of nowhere, I just said the words: "This is over. We're not getting married. I'm canceling everything." And
What did he
I would say I
say?
never look back. He obviously said, "You're being reactive. We need to talk. It's okay. We don't have to get married. Let's just stay together." And there was, I think, for the first time, there was a part in me, almost every cell of my body knew that there is no one will convince me otherwise, that I just know this is over. Um,
Mm. What do you
yeah.
think
And
that knowing comes from?
that's what I said. Thank God for my soul. I think I say my soul, it was a message from divine, from
Mm.
my creator telling me you're about to I don't want to say make a mistake, but this is not in alignment with you. And
Mm.
I think our soul knows.
I
There's
think
a
so
part of us
too.
that always knows. And I wasn't listening to my inner voice convincing myself. I wasn't realizing that this is not normal. But I think that once I felt my truth, my soul, I just knew. And you get to that. I think that in life in general, we should continue whatever we're doing until we just know. And then when we know, people sometimes ask, how do you know if this is the right person?
Hmm.
How do you know if I should end the relationship? You will know. And if you don't know, then continue. Continue putting everything you have to make it better. Be 100% in. And there's going to be a moment when you will just know.
That's how I
I'm
stayed
in
married for
or I'm out.
17 years. Yeah. I stayed
Mm,
married for 17 years, which is 5 years longer than when I knew. And I
mm.
knew, but I was like, I gotta give this every possible shot. I've got to keep trying until it just feels like, nope, I can't go on anymore. And also, I had little kids. Like, I just couldn't imagine doing it on my own. So I put my own stuff in my back pocket. And then when the shit hit the fan 5 years later, I really knew. And I decided, okay, we'll go to couples counseling one more time. But in my heart, I knew we would fail. And I'm so grateful for that knowing. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to have given it a shot as many times
That's
over and
right.
over again as I did, because I never could say to my kids, well, maybe
I,
we should have stayed together, you know?
that's right. You don't regret it. And I
No,
think that we should do everything in our power to make things better so we don't regret it. And we also learn what we have to learn, because otherwise we then repeat those lessons in our next relationship.
mm, mm,
So yeah, you know, I never regretted those 5 years, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they prepare me. They taught me so much about me and prepare me for my next relationship and current relationship. I think that also they taught me what I don't want.
Yeah, you sometimes have to learn that part first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then after you canceled the wedding, you turned to your friend who you'd known for 6 months and you go, actually, I had a dream about you.
And you know what? That's funny because I don't remember if I share my dream. Maybe I would scare him, so I didn't want to
Of
scare
course.
him.
Yeah. No, I was
But
kidding.
you know, I dreamed that we're getting married.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been too scary for him. But um, I remember saying, "Well, I'm available. If
Uh,
you want to date me, I'm available. I'm very much interested." And we just knew
mm,
that that was going to be the beginning of hopefully never-ending love story. 6 months later, when we were dating, at that point, I said, "You know, this is for life, right?" And he said, "I know." I
oh,
wasn't scared to say it. Yeah.
honestly, I just got tears. Because there is like you knew that the first relationship wasn't meant to be. You knew that the second one was.
Yes, but I want to be very careful here and not sound like a fairy tale,
Right. No, it isn't ever. Right.
right? Because then we can get that um, perception that love is enough to keep the relationship going.
Right. No, it's
And
work.
that's
It's work and
not,
commitment, right? Tell me what
that's
it
right.
tell me what it is that it takes to make a relationship work, because in your book you talk about the 4 pillars of becoming a power couple. I want to define I want to hear your definition of what a power couple is, because I think George and Amal Clooney. Like I think George Clooney, and we live in Italy and we make movies and she's a civil rights lawyer. We're the
Yeah,
most
we're not that.
beautiful, rich people in the world. Like, that's a power couple in my mind.
That's right. So, okay, so what's power couple? It has nothing to do with the level of success, although we find that power couples, because they fuel each other, they have that powerful synergy.
Mm,
They are more likely to be successful and align in their careers. But truly, what a power couple is that synergy between two individuals who are willing to commit to the relationship no matter what. And as the result of that, continuously be giving,
mm,
giving. Even if I'm not afraid you will leave. In fact, you become a power couple when you are so happy to give for no reason. In the beginning of the relationship, we are very giving,
mm,
but even though we think it's unconditional, it's the most conditional. We are so giving because we want to secure that relationship. And we want for that person to say yes. We want for that person to fall in love. We want that person to think we are the most amazing human being.
mm-hmm.
And we feel the love in our body, right? In our bloodstream, we feel all these neurotransmitters and hormones. So we are giving because love makes us give. A power couple is a couple who has committed to the relationship and to keep giving even when they feel safe, when they feel no fear that the person will leave. I know you're mine. I know you won't cheat on me. I trust you completely. And I give you for the pure joy of giving because
Mm.
it gives me joy to give you when I have zero worries about our relationship and the success of our relationship.
So it's not
So
transactional. It's not trying to get something from the other person. It is
that's
really
right.
just a practice of, in your book, you talk about generosity,
That's
and
right.
committing to cultivating generosity toward your partner. I really love that idea. I also think women have the tendency to over give, over caretake, and that type of thing. How do we make sure that it's reciprocal, or how do you know that you're entering into a relationship that has a capacity for mutual generosity?
So overgiving usually is a coping mechanism.
Mm,
So a power couple has worked through the 4 pillars,
mm-hmm.
has done enough the me pillar, the inner work, that I come to this relationship I'm not always in my coping mechanisms. I'm more in my alignment. And therefore, I am truly giving, not giving to receive. See, when we overgive, usually we're taking, we're not giving.
Mm.
It's it's hidden. It's
You're
dressed
trying
in
to control, trying
trying
too.
to get
Yeah.
something back,
Yeah.
to secure the relationship again. So I'm actually taking, not giving. So what happens is that when couples give unconditionally without that transactional mindset, without that hidden agenda, is that we truly become best friends. We become each other's confidant, lovers. Um, and that's the synergy of the power couple, is that feeling that together we can conquer anything and overcome anything. And we are each other's backup, best friend, plan B, whatever you want to call it. And then that gives you such a sense of comfort, security, trust, and connection that when you give from that place, the joy that you get, the satisfaction that you get out of it is absolutely delicious,
Mm.
for the lack of a better word.
I mean, you
So
are painting a picture of something that feels so ideal. And a lot of people listening to this podcast, I suspect, have been in marriages that maybe didn't work great, or maybe are in marriages that are not perfect, where that generosity is hard to come by, or if it's there, it's an aspiration, it's not a day-to-day reality. A lot of people listening to this podcast are divorced and would love to find their next love relationship coming from a healed place, coming from all the learning that they've had from the past relationships in their lives. How do we find this partner who has this level of willingness to address these four pillars and to do all the things that you suggest in your book? Because I do love this ideal situation. I think it's what we want. I just think the road from the reality that a lot of people are in to that is a bumpy one, or one that feels really unclear.
absolutely. And I know I'm picturing this. First of all, I picture this ideal because I know it's possible.
Yeah.
And I believe in it and I live it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it like that every day? Of course not. It takes work to get to that phase. We go through the three different phases of the relationship. And to get to that power couple, we have to go through the honeymoon phase and then the power struggle, because this is where we grow the most.
Talk about that. I want to hear about the power struggle, because I think that's where my relationship stopped. For 17 years, we just lived in a power struggle.
Yeah. So the power struggle is first of all, it's where every couple goes through that, right?
Mhm.
Once we're over the honeymoon phase, once all these, chemicals in our bloodstream are no longer there, and we don't feel that love, then we start getting into these conflicts or these power struggles, because now I feel like whatever I thought you were going to give me and make me feel, I no longer feel that. So we become resentful. Now, that's why it's so important, the first mindset shift, to understand that if I'm giving because I feel the love, then when I don't feel the love, I'm going to stop giving. And the purpose of the relationship is unity. And to create that unity, we have to commit to do the work, not just give, but do the work, the relationship development work, even on days we don't feel the love. And then as we do that, the love will get rekindled. And as we do that, we take our connection to a deeper level. Now we peel another layer. So how do you do that? You do that through the practice of the four pillars. The first pillar, you practice working on yourself.
Right. So the pillars, just to define them for the audience: me, you, our,
you,
and us.
and us. That's right. So me is the first one, because if you don't do your work, it's going to be very difficult for you to have a deep connection with someone else. If you are very much reactive with your coping mechanisms, the walls that we carry, that we bring into our relationships, we all have wounds, we all have soul corrections, we all have negativity to clear. Now, there are two ways to go about it. I can come into this relationship and say, if you trigger my negativity, I'm going to be so mad at you and I'm going to blame you and react. because in the honeymoon phase, you didn't trigger my negativity. So I thought you were perfect for me, but now you're triggering in the power struggle my negativity. If we do that, then most likely we are not going to be able to move forward that way, because I'm not taking responsibility for my own happiness, for my own work. But if I agree that every time you trigger me, it's because I need to do work on myself, and this is actually an opportunity for me, that in fact I am with you, not just for you to see the beauty in me, but for you to also mirror where I need to work on myself, that maybe when I'm alone and nobody triggers me and I don't need to share my life, I'm so comfortable, I won't see that negativity. So I'm with you, and I have a chance to see what I need to work on. And this is great. I'm going to do the work, whether you ask the help of a coach or a therapist or any path you choose to take. You do your work so you can show up to your partner less reactive and more whole. You are already whole, but we might not feel whole. So our job is to work on ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of listeners are really familiar with that phase, that working on yourself phase. I think women start to do that work in their 40s, right? Like that traditionally is when we have made a lot of big decisions about our lives, and then all of a sudden we can turn our attention inward because our estrogen is dropping and we are no longer so focused on pleasing the other and accommodating the group. And then we can go, oh, wait, what about me? What is it about me that has caused the things that are unsatisfying in my life? What do I like? What do I need to change? Who do I want to be? Did I mean to get here? I think that is a very familiar space for a lot of women.
So that happened to me when I was 35, and I did that career change.
Let's talk about that, because you were an engineer. This is a very different career.
That's right. I honestly feel that I wouldn't be happy in my relationship today had I not done that work myself, that career change and the courage that it took and the fears that I had to face. Because, my husband cannot give me alignment. I have to find it myself. So when I was 35, I realized that I'm not doing what I want to do. So I wasn't happy. In the beginning, I thought, okay, I am doomed for dissatisfaction because I seem to have everything society told me I need to have to be happy. I'm well married. I love my husband. He treats me well. He loves me. I have a family. I'm doing well, providing for ourselves. Why am I not happy? So yes, you can blame your husband. And there was a time when I was, and he said, you always say I don't do enough, but this is not about me. This is about you not being content with what you are doing. So I had to go through my own soul searching and find what is it that I want to do with my life. It's very difficult to be happy with someone else when you're not happy with yourself. I'm not saying that being completely happy with yourself is a prerequisite to find your soulmate. By no means, no. I'm not saying that. We can do the work while we're in the relationship. Just to clarify that.
No, that's
you don't
important.
need to. Yeah, there's no need to say I have it all figured out before I find my soulmate. That actually never happens.
Right, because we don't actually ever have it all figured out.
That's right. And there are things we cannot see when we're alone either.
That's right.
So yeah. I went through my own process of personal growth and personal development and working on myself and my inner child and all of that while in the relationship. The relationship, in fact, was a huge motivator because I knew I loved this person, but I also knew that I wasn't happy and I needed to do my work so I can be the best that I can be for our relationship and our family. So that's the first pillar. And then the second pillar, and now I just want to say something because I almost can hear your audience asking, yeah, but what if my partner doesn't want to do their inner work?
Yeah.
Would you say, can you hear that question?
Yeah. How do you make sure that you have a partner? How do you choose a partner who is willing to do that work, especially, in a cohort of men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who, maybe weren't raised with a certain level of self-awareness, or they were raised to think that therapy was weakness, or they were raised with some some sense that things are supposed to just work or just happen, and that that work, they wouldn't know where to approach that work. Of course, there are plenty of men out there who go to therapy, but certainly not enough. Not enough. There's a lot of focus on like external masculine traits and much less on sort of inner growth for men. I think it's harder for them to find their way to that work.
I want to give you a thought on this. I think women are very likely to work on themselves whether they are in a relationship or not.
Yeah.
Men need to have a very strong motivation to be want to do that work. They really need the support. They need to have the right reason, if you might call it, to embark on that journey. I have not seen men that on their own embark on the journey of, oh, I'm just going to work on myself. They're less self-aware, as you said. So I met my husband young. I was not in that journey of self-work at that time. So I couldn't even, identify if he would be open. We never
Right.
talk about therapy in that phase, but we knew we have the same values and we want the same things from life. So I think that when you're young, if you are aware, if you are on a journey of self-development, you can discuss it and see where your partner is when you're dating someone. But when it's kind of a second marriage, or you are, like you said, 40s and up, that you are already embark on that journey yourself, and you want someone who can grow with you, I think that's important, to find somebody who's has a growth mindset and is able to have introspection and grow with you. I think that these are valid questions to ask when you're dating someone. And
Yeah.
if you are, if you have the courage to ask those questions and don't compromise on what's really important for you,
Yeah.
then you will find out and know exactly if this is a good fit for you or not.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes women are just so happy to find someone that they might overlook certain aspects. And that's why it's so important. I don't know if you remember when you read the book, the first part is the Constitution, where you write
I'm ready to talk about that when you are. I want to say that I have always been the woman who was like, you like me. Oh, okay, great. Like, because I didn't fundamentally feel lovable for so much of my life. So I was like, great, I found someone who loves me, who's into me, who's like can deal with, what my body is and how my personality is. And like, that's great. That is great. I am not going to dig into all of my other criteria because I don't want to upset this apple cart. And I always use these old timey references. I don't want to blow this up. And so I just want to be grateful that like we have a thing and and we're attracted to each other and like we're fundamentally compatible socially or whatever. These days, I'll sleep with those guys. But am I going to be in a committed relationship with them? No, what I'm looking for is evolving. And I'm like, right now, I'm at the very beginning of talking to somebody who I can tell has done all the work and has been through the shit in various relationships and has done all the therapy and is a really good communicator. And I'm like, oh, is that what that feels like? Like, that's interesting. Like, whether he's my guy, I don't know. We haven't met in person yet. We've just been texting and talking on the phone. But like, that's very interesting. That's a different tenor of a conversation. That's of just laying all your cards on the table from the very beginning. That's so new for me. It's wild, but it doesn't have the same like, ooh, like crazy sexy, like, oh, dangerous kind of thrill to it. It actually just feels good.
So this is great because you're really aware of what you're looking for. You can spot it.
Yep.
I just also want you to believe, and maybe you do, but I just want to say that you can have it all. You can have the man that you find attractive and you have that amazing chemistry with, and also have somebody that is also a really good friend and somebody that is into personal growth and a great communicator. Because I find that sometimes, when the bridge goes one side very strong, we tend to run to the other side to
Yeah.
balance it.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. You can you can have it all.
Okay. I'll
And
take your word for it. I don't
and,
know that I
and
believe that, but I'm working to try to believe that.
yeah, you can have it all. And I always tell women, make a list of what you want in
Mm-hmm.
your partner,
Mm-hmm.
everything you want. Have a desire for it and then become that person. So if you want somebody that takes care of their body,
Mm-hmm.
then ask yourself, do I take care of my body?
Right.
Let's say you don't. Okay. So start going to the gym.
Right.
Start becoming that person yourself, because then likes attracts like.
Totally. Totally. I've always got my running list. In my journal, it's called My Man. I'm
But
so
but don't
heterocentric.
forget to add how you want to feel with them, because I remember a client once saying, he's everything that I put on my list, but I don't feel it for him. I said,
Oh,
because you forgot to ask
how
that you
does it
also
make you
feel the same
feel?
way for him. Not
Mm,
that he's perfect, but that you feel he's the right person for you. You feel all that. Not that he's also into you, but you're into him too.
hmm. For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's a really good distinction. Um, yeah, I want to talk about this marriage constitution idea that's in your book because I love it so much, and it really would have helped me in my first marriage. Not that we would have been able to adhere to it, but like the principle of it is so great. So tell us what a marriage constitution is and how it gets created. And I love that it starts with your deal breakers.
Yeah, it's basically it's a conversation more than anything,
Hmm.
but it starts with each partner laying down what are the deal breakers, what are the things that they will not compromise on. And let me tell you, that is much easier to do when you already had a relationship before,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's me that I was with someone 5 years, or you were married for, you're going to become very clear what are the things that you will not tolerate.
Yeah. So what are some
Uh,
of the things that are people's deal breakers?
um, Usually it's drinking or
Mm,
coming home, um, you know, not sober. And that's usually if this opens a conversation. The purpose of this is
right.
also to understand why. And people will say, well, my father was an alcoholic, so I will not tolerate that. Smoker or doing drugs, it's usually a deal breaker. I can tell you my deal breakers is calling on names,
Oh, yeah.
like you're stupid, what are you,
Not
crazy?
acceptable. Yeah.
Not acceptable. Of course, cursing is not acceptable, but not even that is calling on names or diminishing someone or
Insulting
humiliating
them. That's
someone,
right.
insulting them. Yeah, these are common deal breakers. Of course, cheating or, you know, just text, because cheating could be so many things.
To define that.
Texting with,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to define whether you're texting or flirting with your ex girlfriends or boyfriends. These are deal breakers for people usually. Um, you know, not talking about what's in our heart and just doing the silent treatment. That silent treatment I see a lot in, because I work a lot with second marriages couples.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they tend to have, almost every second marriage couple has silent treatment in their deal breakers.
Does that come from the woman or from the man or from both?
Mostly the woman, but then they both agree, because then you have to agree. You have to become aware and agree with that. So you try not to step on those
Yeah.
deal break. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's usually the woman, because the woman is, she normally she is the communicator, and men will do the
Sure.
silent treatment. Um, and sometimes it's in first marriage when they saw that at home.
Sure. Sure. I mean,
So you
especially
can look at your
generationally. Yeah.
oh
That's a
yeah. So
standard behavior
you
for baby boomer
that's
men.
right.
That's right.
You could look at your parents and really say, okay, this is what I love, but this is what I will not tolerate that I saw at home.
Right. Totally.
So
Totally.
if you come from a family that you said, this is not a model I would take into my marriage, just use that to understand what you don't want and put it on the deal breakers.
Hmm. For me, it's so easy to tell you the long, long list of the things I don't want. How do I define the things that I do want?
Mm. Well, normally will be the opposite of what you don't want,
Hmm.
right? And if you never felt it, then leave the list open.
Mm,
Like you said, oh, this is what it feels like. You know, when I started dating my husband, I remember saying, for the first time, I feel that I can be myself in front of a man and not have to put on a facade or pretend. This is what it feels like to be you, to be fully accepted.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful
So I,
feeling.
if I had to make the deal, I didn't at the time, but if I had to make the deal breakers at the time, I don't think I would know. But I have this vivid memory. I sometimes we could be driving in the car, and I would um, lower the window and just do bah, and maybe not today so much, but when we were younger, without caring how it sounds or what people think. Okay, not downtown, but if my fiance, when I did that, says, "What are you doing?
Mm.
This is so childish, so stupid." When the first time I did that with my husband, he joined me. And I remember thinking to myself, this is what it feels like to be free to be me.
Mm.
So you're going to, if you never felt that, you know what you don't want, that's also great. Get open to recognize what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful story.
You can say, I want to be able to be me, but what it feels like, you will always recognize it when you actually are embodying that, when you are behaving that way, when you are giving that opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I definitely want someone who thinks I'm hilarious. Like if I was with someone and they didn't have a sense of humor and they didn't think I was like the funniest person they ever met, I would fail. It would fail. That's not a relationship I can be in. You have to think
I
I'm
know.
funny, and I have to trust that you know what's funny.
Yeah, yeah. I I I only discovered how funny I am when I started dating my husband.
Mm, because he appreciated it.
He appreciated it, and he also has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
So
important.
we would laugh together. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We would have the same type of humor too.
Yeah.
You know what we did once?
What?
You want to
Yeah,
hear that
I
story?
do.
Y- You know, this is really what it take what a good illustration of a power couple. We're going back because I was in my office, so before the pandemic, when I had the school downtown. He used to work downtown too, and I had the coaching school and my coaching practice, so he would come for lunch a few times a week. And my daughter texted me. My daughter is 23. She texted me, "Can I go to my friend?" She was a teenager at the time. "Tonight at." So she's texting me, and I look at him. I said, "She's texting. Let's have fun with her." So I texted back, "I don't know. Ask Dad." Now she doesn't know we're together, so she goes text my husband, and he responds, "I don't know. Text Mom." So then she says, "It's weird. I asked that, and he said to text you." So then I responded something, and then he responded the same. So it took a few interactions for us to fool with her and text the same words until she realized. She says, "Are you together right now?" And
I
we
love
were
it.
laughing,
It's
but
it's just sweet. There's nothing malicious there. You're just having a lot of fun and you're being silly with your
at
kid.
my daughter's expense,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Although it's not harming anybody. Like that's
There's
adorable.
no harm.
Yeah.
But you see, at that time we were married, I think 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll be married 27 now. We were married 20 years, and it's just like you're my best friend, right? I have fun with you. You're my lover, you're the father of my children, but you're also my best friend, and we have fun together. And that's everything that for me is a power couple.
I love that so much. Let's talk more about the marriage constitution and what is in that. Because I think when people are starting out in a relationship, God, what a great idea to be able to sort of say, hey, how do we want this to go? How do we be mindful? I mean, I always wish that I I hear about people who are in a certain faith tradition, and what they do, what their practice is to go to their spiritual leader in their community and sit together and talk about the nature of their marriage and the union that they want to create together. Now, I'm not in a faith tradition, and I've never had that, but I like the idea that there's someone who can coach you through, you know, here's some baseline things to think about in terms of how you establish your partnership and your values around this relationship together.
Yeah, in fact, this is what I do with my package. It's called pre-marriage package. We actually, first of all, we take the two people and we create their human design, and I
Mm.
do a reading of their soul
I
gifts.
love human design.
So,
It's like my new favorite thing. I'll do an
so
episode on it. I've done some astrology stuff, but I need to do a human design episode.
yeah, so I actually like to show each one of you who you are, what's your design, how you're designed to create. We combine human design with also reading their soul blueprint, and then people actually understand who the other one truly is and why they're different. Like, why do you approach things differently than me? Why are you more of a linear thinker? I'm more of a multitasker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first step of actually understanding who are you going to live a life with. Because if you don't understand how your partner operates at their best, you are going to really try to change them all the time rather than enhancing
Right.
and
So going,
harnessing
okay, I
their
know who
strength.
you are. I know who you are. And I know how to work
So the
with
first
that.
one is I know who you are.
Yeah.
And then from that, we go into the best practices for marriage. Nobody talks about best practices for marriage.
No.
Like you said, faith can prepare you based on your faith, but not everybody wants that type of best practices per se. And even though marriage is so related to faith and culture, there's still universal things that are best practices no matter what your faith is and or your culture is. So then we prepare the couple to understand the four pillars. It's all based on the four pillars and what are the best practices to keep the relationship together,
So what are some
and keep going
examples?
even when you don't feel the way you feel today.
Right. Right. So
And we
yeah, I want to
yeah.
understand. Okay, I love that you're talking about best practices. I can hear your engineer self in that when you talk about best practices. I worked at a technology company for a long time. There's a lot of best practices talk. What are some baseline marriage best practices that, the married and coupled people who are listening to this show can sort of make a little checklist in their own heads and go, are we doing that?
So one is what do you do when you feel triggered?
Mm.
That's based on the me, right? How do you actually communicate that you're triggered and take the time to work on yourself and then come and say, this triggered me because of that. I'm going to just take the time to work, but please try not to do that again. How do you resolve it when you're
Mm.
being triggered? How
Mm.
do we do what we call with a couple emotional triggers map to understand what sets each other off
So good.
and how to navigate those conflicts without actually escalating, but with personal responsibility. So we also take a look at personal values and relationship audit. Kind of look at what are your values, what do you want. I think a best practice is you need to have a common vision, no matter how many years you're married, whether you're in the beginning or you've been married for 25 years. You need to create the highest vision of your life together. I think that a question that couples who've been married for quite a while can ask themselves is, if this was your business, would you run it that way?
I love that. Right, because you kind of
And
fall into behaviors and practices, ways of communicating, ways of doing things that are inefficient, maybe logistically, but also emotionally ineffective.
that's right. And then we stop communicating and therefore we stop connecting. So
Right.
so if you ask yourself, if this was a business, would you say we'll succeed or fail? Would you run it that way? And the answer is no. That's when you say, okay, where do we start? Do we start by each partner taking some time to work on themselves and talk about our emotional triggers? Or do we start by understanding our differences, the you pillar, and how to be true friends and stop trying to change each other and really understand your love language, my love language, where you come from, where I come from, and working on generosity. What kind of generosity? How do I respect you and your space? So we really need to look at
Yeah.
which pillar is actually lacking per
Yeah.
se. And then there are the best practices for the third pillar, which are all about the partnership. And it's all that communication, coordination, and collaboration. The most common response to stress for people is to retract and not speak up and just close up in our own bubble with our own pain.
Yep.
So, how do we deal when we're feeling that way? How do we communicate? How do we keep this partnership? Um, if it was a business, how do you keep it running smoothly? It is through the three C's: communication, coordination, collaboration. So, there are rituals for all of that. And then we're talking about best practices for the fourth pillar, which is the pillar of intimacy, and understanding that intimacy has to be fostered,
Hmm.
it has to be fed. It's not going to happen like the way it happened in the honeymoon phase. It
Right.
has to be given its place. And sometimes people make zero space for it,
Yep. Been there.
right?
Yep.
Because so why? Is there a lack of connection, lack of trust? How do we build that? So the best practices are for each pillar.
Sure.
And when we work with couples, we first do an audit to see which pillar needs to be worked first. Because the pillars, even though they look linear, like me, you, our, us, it's like a chair. It's not that you have leg one, leg two, or the leg that comes first, the leg that comes second. No, you need the four of them for the chair to be stable. So these pillars are interconnected. It's a systemic view. They affect each other. If the couple is not respectful from each other, then intimacy will suffer.
That's right.
If the hour is not there and we're always fighting about, I thought you were picking the kids and I thought you were preparing supper, then of course the intimacy is not going to be there. If I'm not taking care of my own stuff and I'm always projecting and blaming you, I'm breaking our bond of trust. So of course intimacy is not going to be easy. So all these pillars affect each other and each one of them has really a list of best practices. And when we work with a couple, we audit which pillar we need to start with to bring the most amount of healing
Mm.
and the most amount of connection faster. And then when we have the couple connected, then we can start working on deeper issues.
Right.
Because if there's no connection, you don't start working on deeper issues because then people feel like they are enemies,
Yeah.
two opponents. We have to get them connected on the same team so we can do team building
Yeah.
and then work on the deeper issues.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's practical. It's empathetic. Um, and and
It
it,
has to be practical. It cannot just be about feelings.
yeah. Yeah. Life
Because
is full of practical things. And if you're going to do a real partnership with someone, if you are going to be a genuine couple who are paired together for life in the world, you have to treat the couple as its own thing. You have to care for the relationship, not just for yourself and for the other person.
that's right. Look, love and emotions are not the root cause, they are the effect. Okay? We make it the cause, but they're actually the effect of our intentionality and our commitment to the relationship. So if we are not feeling the love and emotions, it's for now. You can actually recreate that with the right commitment, with the right actions, with that intention in place. And if you become more strategic and structured with those best practices, you can actually rekindle the love, you can rekindle the emotions and the connection.
I think that's a very hopeful message for our listeners. Hotter Than Ever is all about giving women permission and ideas for how to do things differently in the second half of our lives. So, what is one big thing you want our
Mhm.
listeners to take away about what is possible in their committed relationships over 40?
I think it only gets better over 40. because we are, as you said, we're more mature. Uh, we're tired of pleasing and fighting, and we kind of start to understand what matters.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting older, so we start to realize, okay, children are going to leave. I'm going to be left with this person at home. What truly matters here? And that perspective can humble us. And humility is key when you want to make things better. So age humbles us. And that's why I think that after 40, that you are more accepting of yourself. Um, you are less willing to play the game of pretend. It's easier to actually, put out the mask, be real. And even though maybe you haven't touched your spouse for months or years, or you think your spouse is not interested, and you think there's no way your spouse is going to seek any professional help, you can actually come to this person and say, okay, we've been together for X amount of years. The kids, if there are kids, are going to leave soon. It's just you and me. Can we put the masks away and make something real? We can start again with someone else, or we can actually embrace this journey together and make it better for for ourselves, not for the children, not for anyone else, just for us. At the end of the day, everybody wants to feel loved and connected. Everybody wants connection.
Yeah.
The antidote to loneliness is connection.
Yeah.
And many couples are married and feeling lonely.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to close that gap is within the relationship. It's with the person that you already have a history with. And yes, maybe you hurt each other a lot, but you also build things. And if you're willing to forgive and you're willing to heal, not look for justice. If you come from a place of justice, you're not humble. We're not looking for justice.
You're never going to find it anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're not looking for justice. We're not looking for who's right or wrong. Well, we are two human beings who hurt each other, who feel disconnected, who don't feel fulfilled in this area. Are we willing to humble ourselves and do what it takes for us to reconnect again? Because I love this sentence from Esther Perel. You're going to have different relationships throughout your life. It could be with different people, but it could also be with your same partner.
Mm-hmm.
And with intention, willingness, and humility, it's doable.
I love your message. Oh, thank you for coming on Hotter Than Ever. Thank you for this conversation, for the hope that you bring, for the practical approach you have. I'm really grateful. I am going to put information about your book, Becoming a Power Couple, 4 Pillars to Engineer Legendary Marriages, into the show notes. We'll put a link about how you can find it, where people can find you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin, for having me.
Thanks for listening to Hotter Than Ever. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about marriage and partnership. Even as a single person, I found it so useful and fascinating to reflect on my own marriage and then to consider what is possible in my future. Is there someone in your life who needs to hear this conversation? Is it your current partner, your spouse? This would be an amazing way to start a conversation about how the two of you can become a power couple and what it would take to get there. Oh my God, I want this for you. Share it with them right now. Be brave. Start the conversation. Hotter Than Ever is produced by Erica Gerard and Podkit Productions. Our associate producer is Melody Carey. Music is by Chris Keating, with vocals by Isa Fernandez. One day, I will be part of a power couple. I mean, I am part of a power couple today if my relationship with my dog Taco counts. It doesn't. It needs to be a human. Okay, fair.